Come on.
Hello, everybody. What's going on? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast. We are hosted on Anchor.fm and streamed worldwide on all the platforms you use to listen to your favorites. My name is Nick, and joining me today is just one of my two co-hosts. Andrew could not be with us this week, so Tristan, you and I are doing this as a duo this time.
Yeah, exactly. We've cobbled together two of us finally, and that's all you guys get this week. We're lucky to get that. It's been Nick hopped on this recording session today and said, "What do you say? How's the war?
How's the war, comrade?"
Yeah, yep. So it's been busy professionally, personally, and otherwise over the past several weeks. So we look forward and are happy to be back in recording for you.
Absolutely. And thanks for hanging with us, all of you regulars, with just the crazy cadence that's been going on this summer. But yeah, it's all like good busy. It's not like health crises, thank goodness, or anything like that where someone's not recording. But, it's just you're planning weddings, Andrew's on baby countdown, and every week we're here's a couple of days. Well, those days don't work for me. Well, how about this day? Well, that one doesn't work for me. And Andrew finally just said, why don't you guys just record without me this week? And we're like, okay, if you say so.
Okay, here we go. Prepare for 2/3 of a podcast, everybody.
We'll see how this works. We'll try to make it 2/3 of the length as well. So, Tristan, is this the first time you and I have done this just as a duo? I know you and Andrew did when I couldn't make it, but you brought in.
Yeah, I think this is this is the first time it's just the two of us. I think
just the two of us.
You got it.
That's right, nailed it. Yeah, the two of you. I think you've done two without me. One of them you brought in Loaf as a guest host, and he did a brilliant job sitting in for me. He was better than me. And then Andrew and I did one without you, and we did it like, I want to say, was it Facebook Live? Or we recorded video because we were sitting in front of a laptop webcam as we did it with a single microphone. That was a couple years ago. I can't remember where the footage is, but yeah, I think this is the first time it's just been you and me. So
let's make the best of it.
Yeah, let's see what we got. We are not a schedule podcast. We are a car podcast.
We're not a complaining about how busy we are podcast.
Put that one down on the list for the next round of t-shirts.
All right.
We should probably start there, by the way, before we dive into anything. For those of you who have ordered merchandise, hopefully it's been delivered to you by now. If some of you are a little bit further away from Wisconsin, it might be just getting there now. But we are seeing pictures from folks. I'm putting it up on social, on Facebook at least. The merch is starting to be delivered. Thank you, Styled Aesthetic, again, for a great job producing it. Thank you, listeners, for buying it and sharing the swag with us. Those photos are great. Keep them coming. So if you haven't seen it yet, hopefully it's going to get there any day now. But yeah, where do you want to start?
I guess we could recap our days at the track upon Andrew's return. He can, we can add the day that he was there, and
sure,
get that squared away if you'd like.
Actually,
I've got some car news, some motorsports news.
Beautiful, but actually, before we get into that, I do have story time.
Story time. Story time with Nick.
And it's not car related, so I want to get it out of the way before we dive into cars. I told you about this briefly.
We already did we're not a X podcast, Nick. We can't
I know.
go back.
We're doing it, and they can just deal with it.
We're doing it.
I'm going to do it. So, you are very, very close now to your wedding date. Claire and I are in the early planning stages, and we're in the process of touring different facilities, looking for a venue. And we toured 2 good ones that are definitely in the running. And we've got another couple that we want to go see. But we went last week and toured a place about an hour south of here. It's like a big, I think they said like a 60-acre property. So you can get married in multiple different spots outside. Like the Fox River runs through, so you can get married in the river. They have a barn for the reception.
I thought you said in the river, and I was like, all right, well, I guess
along the river.
I'll be, my assumption that I'll be there. I'll bring my waiters, I guess.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be a fishing ceremony. We're all going to fly fish. Yeah.
Yep. I'll buy the entire Orvis catalog.
Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those places where, like, hey, if you want to have the ceremony here or here, whatever, like multiple areas on the property, a barn. They have an 11-bedroom house that you can rent on the property for wedding weekend. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that, we thought, like, man, this is pretty sweet going in. And as soon as we got there, we got this really weird vibe from the wedding planner who was meeting us to give us this tour. And she had a go cup with a top on it, like one of those sippy top things of coffee, or so we thought.
Or so we thought.
Because, well, her introduction and, when we were shaking hands and, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us. That kind of thing. Like, very weird, very just a goofy vibe coming from her. And I noticed that there was like a bit of a slur. And I'm like, well, I tried to give as much benefit of the doubt as possible. Like, maybe there's a neurological thing. Maybe there's a speech impediment, whatever. Like, we're just going to let it go. But I noticed that the further along we got in this tour and the more she was sipping from this cup, the worse it was getting. And by the end of the tour, she could barely finish a sentence. Like, slurred, almost in slow motion.
Oh my.
Like,
oh my.
This is a potential client for a wedding, like the most important day of our lives, right? This is her closing statement as we're wrapping up to leave. Welcome to my fucking world.
Wow. Wow. Well, I mean, I guess if it's a world you want to be in, welcome. But I would not be encouraged by that.
Was off her ass, wasted on a Tuesday evening, giving a tour to potential clients for a wedding.
# professionalism.
Yeah, and we got back in the car, and I looked at Claire. I'm like, and Claire's got a nose like a hound dog. Like, she has the best sense of smell I have ever seen. Like, she can pick out dope in a car 2 up from us on the highway. Like, yes. So she's like, oh yeah, that was Kahlua in her coffee. She's like, I smelled it plain as day.
She's in the wrong line of work. She should be like a drug.
She should go be a drug sniffing Claire.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I've never in my, like, I've heard these stories and you see them on Twitter or, like memes and all this kind of stuff, like it, or Reddit or whatever. Like, and I'm like, man, I can't imagine. I've never run into a situation like that in my life until last week. Absolutely insane. I got home and I just took the packet, threw it right in the trash. Like, there's no way.
It's a big old nope from me.
Yeah, and the shitty part was the property was really nice, and the guy who actually owns the property came out like the last 10 minutes we were there and introduced himself. So he owns the property, and this lady runs her quote unquote business just doing weddings at his property. So it's like a partnership. He was the nicest guy in the world. Like, he was awesome. And we're thinking of telling him, like, man, we would do it potentially if she's not around. Like, we can't trust her.
Yeah, it's you would hope that she would know that the day of is very important. However, so is selling it to your clients. So maybe don't be drunk then either. I don't know.
Yeah, and then Claire,
just throwing it out there.
Claire, as considerate and as much of a sweetheart and as caring as she is about everybody as we're driving home, is like, how bad is her life, or how bad is the current situation she's in for her to care that little? Like, and that, like, put it in perspective. Like, you don't know her story. Angle. It's an angle, right? But I'm like, that's true. Everyone's got a sob story, but if you're trying to, if this is how you make a living, maybe don't do that. Maybe save it for when you get home after the tour. But anyway, yeah, so that was interesting. So now I will, you're right. We are not a wedding tour complaining about busy schedule podcast. We'll say that again.
So not a wedding planning podcast.
Well, so we'll get into car stuff, and it sounds like you've got a lot on the docket. So where do you want to start?
I think we can save the maybe the autopilot investigation until we get Andrew back. We know he loves talking about that kind of thing,
and he has opinions.
Yes, he has opinions on things,
and
so
stuff.
The one that really made me chuckle is in line with our continuous ragging upon Nissan. And I think, Nick, you posted on Facebook, like, are we the only people that don't like this thing for the new Z? It's like, much like we give the Supra a bunch of crap for just being a Z4,
which is amazing, by the way. It's the funniest thing ever that when there's a recall on the brakes on the Supra, BMW has to have that recall.
To service it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then, like,
it's literally a Z4, people.
Yeah, like, it doesn't even have separate recalls. Yeah, but that we can also give the new Z a hard time because it is literally a 370Z.
It's a 370Z with a Minecraft face on it.
It shares the same chassis code.
Ugh.
When interviewed, they were like, so is this now a Z35 chassis code? We were simply told, no. By Nissan's own internal standards, quote unquote, the changes made to the latest Z are not significant enough to warrant a new chassis designation. The 2023 chassis is not internally known as Z35, but instead maintains the Z35 chassis code of the 370Z.
So they put a new shell on a 370.
Yeah. According to this article, all of the body, they say, quote unquote, body in the white, which is what you can't see, all the unpainted stuff underneath, is nearly identical. Everything down to, like, air vent placement and everything else is the same. Like, how and where the doors close, the same. Like, it is literally a facelifted 370Z. That they're just calling, Nissan's the new Z.
The Z.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, Nissan. Like, we want to love you. We like those Z cars. I don't like the facelift on this one, but it's like, it's not even a new car.
My parents' neighbor has that special. I talked about it like last year on the podcast.
Yeah.
He let me drive it. It's a great car. It was a great car. The interior. Even like the one thing we usually rag on Nissan for, the interior wasn't that cheap looking.
Congratulate him on owning the newest available Nissan.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God. It's that people are loving this thing so much, and it from the back, back in like back 3/4, even the side angle, I would say it looks pretty solid. And you spin it around to see the front, and it literally looks like a Minecraft mouth, like a character from Minecraft.
Yeah, it does. I'm looking at it. I was looking at it now just to like get it in my head, and it does. It 100% does.
And yeah, it's just weird, like how everybody is loving this thing. And it's like, but one thing, the Road and Track article I posted, the headline was right. I will say that from that article, which is they made the concept. And more manufacturers should do that. They showed the concept. People like the concept, so they made the concept.
I'm 100% on board with that.
Like, other manufacturers don't show us something and then 5 years later come out with something with the same name that looks completely different. Like, Nissan made the concept.
Yeah.
Yep. It was probably easy for them to do, apparently, because it was just a 370 with a new nose. So, oh, man. Please, someone, Facebook, Twitter, I think Evan DM, who's one of our most active followers on Facebook, he was the one who commented on the post and said, I've always loved it. Why? Just someone tell us why you like it. What about it makes this thing like such a wet dream for people all of a sudden?
I need clarity.
Yeah. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, tell us. What are we missing? We don't claim to be pros. We're probably wrong about a lot. We are wrong about a lot of shit. So why are we wrong about the new Z? So let us know. That's a good one. Speaking of small sporty cars, Tristan, a neighbor of mine let me drive his E82 1 Series BMW this past week. I have ridden shotgun in BMWs before. I've never actually sat at the wheel of one. And this guy lives a couple condo units down from us, and huge car guy, by the way. You know, Claire and I go for walks around the complex when it's nice outside and stuff. And, you know, over the past year or so, you know, we kind of see him out in his garage, and he's got his 1 Series in there, and we kind of chat and stuff. And he's owned wagons. At one time, he owned 6 cars while he was at this complex. He had some of them towed from visitor parking because he left them there too long. So he was telling me about his buddy he knows who's got a really rare air-cooled 80s Porsche, and he told me about the wagon he used to have. His quote-unquote winter beater, Tristan, is a GTI. So he's got that in a storage unit. He runs the BMW in the summer and the GTI in the winter. But he modded this 1 Series, not like SEMA modded, but he chipped it. He put new exhaust on it, new tips, and I think he straight piped it. So it's not like Harley Davidson obnoxious, but it's got a really nice burble to it.
It's
full, really cool. Sound. It's up to like 300 and I think he said like pushing over 360 horsepower to the wheels. So it scoots, and he texted me the other day and said, you know, I got to go pick up my GTI for something. Would you want to come with me, and then you can drive the BMW back home? And I said, absolutely, let's do that. So,
yeah, let's do this thing that you're talking about. I want to do this.
Yes, this is a good idea. So, the 3 main things I noticed, and maybe comparing a BMW to a Focus ST isn't exactly apples to apples, but they're both, you know, it's a 1 Series, right? So they're both small cars, darty, 6-speed manual fun cars. So that's my comparison. That's my baseline, right? So
yeah, 100%.
First thing I noticed was the shifter throw on the BMW way shorter. Like, I got back into the Focus, and it was like I was driving like a semi. I was like, whoa, going up through the gearbox.
Did you didn't ever get a chance to drive my Rex, did you?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I would have loved to see your comparison of between that and the ST, because I think it would have been the same scale.
Yeah,
it was like an actual tractor.
I didn't think it was that bad in the Focus, and it's not bad. I shouldn't say bad. That's the wrong choice of word, but I didn't think it was that noticeable until now I got into a BMW, and it was like doink, 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 just kind of flex your wrist and you're in and out of the gears. Yeah. So that was the first thing I noticed. The second thing, the ST's got pretty good brakes. This BMW has got brakes. Like when
just throws you into the steering wheel.
For real, man. When we were pulling out of like the storage unit, I was following it like the first couple stop signs, like getting back out of that property onto the road. Like the first couple times I tapped the brakes, it was just like almost stood it up on the nose. Like, whoa. And then the last thing I noticed, which is a little weird, I don't know how I feel about it. It has power steering. That's not an issue, but the steering felt much heavier than in the Ford. Like it took more effort to move the wheel.
Yeah, that'll be that's a trademark of a performance vehicle. Just like the bitey brakes and everything else. It's, they want that good, heavy, grounded, communicative steering feel.
That is.
I'd be curious if your I don't know if your Focus has electric power steering or hydraulic power steering, because that's always been the big debate for years. Is electric power steering is too light, it's too numb. I'd be and then everybody wants hydraulic power steering, but hydraulic power steering robs engine power. It's heavy, so it's like do you get better steering feel, or do you make the car more dynamic from a weight and power standpoint, and just the driver has to learn how to drive with electric power steering? It's an interesting dichotomy. What's your word of the day?
Dichotomy. Electric power steering on the Focus.
Yeah, I'm curious what the 1 Series has.
Yeah, but regardless, it's a short drive. It was like 4 miles from our condo complex, but it was an enjoyable drive. So thank you to Wes for letting me sit in that seat. And we actually started, when we got back to his garage, we started BSing a little bit more, and we're going to look up some car shows, and I'll take the Focus and he'll take the 1 Series, like a Cars and Coffee or something. And we're going to go see some car shows if there's any more happening this summer or fall. So,
there you go.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get to drive it again.
Trade on the way home.
Because I think we talked about doing that, like switch cars coming back, because then it'll give me some highway time. This was all back roads, which was fun, but like the speed limit was 35. So even if I wanted to punch it a little bit, which I did, I could have very easily in a couple of stretches gone to jail, and I wasn't over 50 miles an hour. So
yeah, go to jail with not even hitting triple digits.
Right. So it was a good time though. It was a good time.
Nice. Yeah, it's always fun for I think it's fun to drive other people's cars as comparison to yours, especially if they don't leave you like, oh God, my car is terrible.
Yeah, for sure. We haven't done that. We had a chance to do that when you had the WRX, I had the Focus, and Andrew had the Veloster, and we just didn't do it.
I think I got rid of the WRX before you got the Focus.
How long have you had this?
Because I think I lamented that I was the one that was like, and I ruined it. We would have all had manual cars at the same time, but we didn't.
When did you get the Subaru, the Outback?
A little over a year ago.
Likewise. For the Focus, I got mine at the end of July.
Yeah, I think I literally just got mine. Like it was like the beginning of July is when I got the Outback.
Wow, I didn't know you had that car that long.
Yeah. Yep.
Crazy.
So, and we're a car podcast, and I'm gonna take this liberty. I've just had like the best experience with that car over the past couple weeks. Like,
The Outback?
yeah, just like, within like 3 or 4 days of each other, we loaded it up with camping stuff, went to Road America, towed the pop up there, and
Which
then
we still need to
like,
talk about, by the way.
and then like drove it around Road America, after horrendous storms, you know, unstoppable through the mud and standing water. Yeah, and then I had to take it to work because normally we take Jessica's car, but I had to like carry a bunch of boxes to and from work, so I took my car and then just like smoked an unsuspecting Infinity on an entrance ramp. Like get you one that can do all these things. Like, is it a sports car? No, not really, but it's it has just showed itself off over the past couple weeks. I'm just sitting here like, man, I really love that car. And it's Andrew talking about his his new car. He's like, to me, it's for him saying this, for me, it's the perfect car. And I was like, yeah, for me, this Outback is the perfect car for my situation and what I do and everything right now. Things change, might not be forever, but it's just, I'm surprised that after a year, I'm not, itching to get into another car. As we know, I tend to do that. So
yeah, so do I. But that's the beauty of car culture, right? Like you could have wildly different machines, and it's perfect.
It's still good.
They can all be perfect. It just depends on who's in the seat, and
who's in the seat, and where they're at. It's like I would argue that when I bought it, the WX was perfect for me at that time.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. I would happily own another one someday if the situation arose. Like, it's a fun thing to watch that so many cars can do so well. And I think particularly as a podcast, all three of us, and hopefully Andrew can listen and weigh in next week. But I feel like
next month, whenever the hell we record.
Whenever we record next, we've had a good run of cars we all really like and appreciate. It's just fun to watch you guys and fun to be me. He said humbly.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I'm glad you're happy with it. I still haven't lost any allure on the Focus either. Well, I also garage that or store that for the winter. So
right.
I haven't driven it for the full year. From December to April, or January to April, it was tucked away, and I was driving my 97 Blazer around, which is a completely different animal. Does what it's supposed to. Not nearly as enjoyable doing it, though.
Very different thing. Yes.
Very different thing. So, like those first few times I got back in it this spring was like I just drove it off the lot. Like it was that same excitement again, and it was cool. So, yeah, plan is Claire just got a new one, so plan is to keep mine until I don't know, probably we're in Andrew and Meg's shoes with babies, and then trade both the ST and the 97 Blazer in for just one SUV that can tow, so I can still do the kart thing and haul some kiddos.
There you go.
So
maybe by then it'll be time to pass the XT Subaru mantle to you.
Maybe, but for a couple 2-3 years here, as they say up here in Wisconsin, I'm sticking with my Ford Focus.
Absolutely.
You mentioned Road America. We should probably dive into that. I know we're jumping around a lot, but it's just two of us talking here, so deal with it. We should probably. This was 2 weeks now ago that we were up there. So for IMSA weekend, so we should probably dive into that a little bit. And you were up there before any of us, so I'll let you kind of take it away.
Yeah, I was up there. I was up there Thursday night through the end of the racing on Sunday. And it was a good weekend. It was as we joked about, and I'm sure a lot of you saw on our social media, it was a standard check engine podcast IMSA weekend, absolutely soaking wet a lot of the time. So that's always fun. But no, we had a beautiful day on Friday, and
Until like
then
2 o'clock.
yeah, yep, and then that was those are the days that as a you know funny it's side commentary, side personal commentary. I would never have put myself in this category, but as a at least for this series specifically, real racing and car nerd.
Sure.
Those are the golden days, like that Thursday and Friday, because that's where you get to see a lot of the teams in their haulers. You're getting to see practice happen. You're getting to see a lot of those support and feeder series. They've got a lot of time on the track because it's just practices for some of the the big boys, but it's qualifying or a race for some of the smaller series. So that's really
Right.
their time in the sun, that those Thursdays and Fridays, and the crowds are low. You can drive anywhere you want. The food is all open, so you can short lines. But it's that it was a good day when we went up there for that, and that was you were there Friday.
I was there Friday. I came back Sunday, so I skipped Saturday.
Yep, and then actually Andrew came up Friday afternoon because he had a half day at the old worky work and came up.
The worky McWork face.
Worky McWork face. And he came up just in time to usher in, some simply horrendous weather. And shout out to all those people who were camping down in the carousel.
Whoa.
and over by the Corvette corral, because they had, without exchanging any physical hardware, had traded in their tents for boats.
Yep, it was intense. So
we
were hardy folks down there.
We were hosted, quote unquote, by the lovely people at Atlanta Speedworks during that absolute maelstrom of a storm.
Yeah, you guys saw the pictures on social on that.
Living the glorious motorsports life, trying to keep their tent up. So
yeah, I mean, and we could go on for hours on just what a cool guy Ryan Eversley is. Like, it's just the people's champ, man. He is just the absolute best. Like, since we recorded with him and Sean, he said, "Hey, reach out for anything you need." I've been trying not to abuse that, but staying in touch, wishing him good luck if he has a podium. Hey, good run, that kind of thing. He always responds. He's always, very gracious with all that. And I had just said, "Hey, we're going to be up there all weekend. Let's grab a beer." Not thinking that he would have time or whatever. And he said, "We're done at like 2:30 on Friday. Come over to the trailer." Sweet. So overheads, Nick, beer in hand. Yeah, we go over and honest to God, I don't know if I might have told you guys this after the fact as we were running out to the car, but like, my plan was 5 minutes, here's a beer, maybe snap a photo, we put it up on Facebook, and we're out. Right? And then the rain just ruined all of that. And he said, "Hey, let's get under the awning." So we get under the awning to stay dry, and it's coming down so hard. The sides of the tent they can't zip them up. They're blowing away. The actual legs are lifting up out of the ground. They're pulling the stakes up. So they're like, "What? We need something heavy." And I'm like, "I've got a cooler. So I guess we're staying now." So I dropped the cooler down, and Ryan grabbed tires, and
and it gets worse.
And it gets worse.
I say, "Well, I'm heavier than a cooler."
So you just stand on it.
Yeah.
And we ended up 90 minutes. We were basically
Yeah.
stuck under that tent, waiting for it to just let up enough, like we're just kind
Get
of
to the
like
car.
a rain, like a normal rain that we can just run to the car in, and just like we're best friends. It just BSing with a champion race driver for 90 minutes, and a couple of times some members of his crew. And there were a couple of times when I would kind of quietly said, "Hey man, like we appreciate you keeping us dry, but like if you got stuff to do, like don't feel like you need to entertain us. You know, we'll try to stay out of the way. We'll be tucked in our corner over here."
We can stand under a tent and keep our hands to ourselves until this is over.
Yeah, but he was just so accommodating and cool and gracious, and he's just he's just the best, man. He is. So thanks to Ryan for keeping us dry and joking around with us. We were holding that tent down, and I looked at him and I said, Lewis Hamilton probably doesn't have to do this. And without
And he
missing a
goes,
beat, he said, "No, but Bottas does."
yeah.
So, yeah, that was cool. I wasn't there on Saturday, so you got to tell me about Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday was another good day. Started to pick up. I would venture to say, in a lot of places, in a lot of ways, Saturday was actually the busier day. Because I think there was more stuff happening. So I think a lot more casual racing fans, locals, etc. Might have made that their one day, because you actually had the second set of races for the MX5 Cup, the Porsche Cup races, the first round of the Porsche Cup races. It's Carrera Cup now, right?
I think that's what they call it now.
It's not GT3 Cup anymore, but the Carrera Cup, the first round of those was that day. You had qualifying and everything else for the Sunday race. You got to see those cars not racing, but out there at pace, trying to get good qualifiers down. And then you had, honestly, our favorite race of the weekend, which I'm sad you couldn't be there, but it was just I would say venture to say our favorite race of any of those weekends. And it was my family came up that day, and it was a relatively standard race. There was some back and forth, fair amount of passing. Lap traffic is always fun, but at the end, because of a little bit of rain and people coming in to change tires, there were some varying fuel strategies. Almost everybody came in for tires, but then it was like, do you stay long enough to get fuel, or do you try to get out ahead of this person a little lighter and a few seconds ahead of them and hope your fuel makes it? And helped by a sparse yellow flag environment, that race, it was pretty clean. A lot of these cars were to use a super cliche term, running on fumes. And to quote our favorite announcer, you hope those fumes all slosh to the back where the fuel pickup is. because when they're coming up the front stretch to the start finish, Hindhaugh was like, this is where you hope the fuel pickups are at the back of the tank, because if they're at the front and you're going up this long straight, you're going to run out of gas, but not really. It's like, and it's just,
he does pack a lot of words into his commentary, man.
Such high speed. And it was
amazing.
And to steal his words, it was a masterclass in soft pedaling from Bill Oberlin, to bring the BMW in first. They said, like his, as he went by on the front stretch from the media tower, they could see that the gas light on his dashboard.
Really?
And it was on for like 3 laps. It was on forever. And he managed, and it's like, he was coming around 14, and it's like, was that some fuel surge? Is he starting to run out? Because it kind of you could see it hiccup. It's like, what is that? And he manages to bring it over the line, and by pushing that fuel strategy, he got in front of people who stopped for fuel, and his masterclass, quote unquote masterclass in soft pedaling, kept him from having to go in for an emergency splash before the end, and just brought it home. And it was so funny when it was over. If you listen to race control on the scanner, it was like, alert, cars off, turn 1, turn 5, turn 6. Like, cars stopped all over the track because they were all pushing this fuel strategy, and a bunch of them either never made it to the start finish, that they pooped out and didn't finish, or they got past or they got past the start finish line but couldn't get back around to pit road. So it was
that series, whether it's photo finishes or crazy crashes or Michelin Pilot Challenge always delivers. It always
fuel strategy, tire strategy, crazy crashes, turning things upside down. It's just always fun to watch.
You always leave with something to talk about. Like, we can remember each one of those because there was that thing that happened. Like,
exactly.
This one was the fuel strategy. The one before that, or a couple of years ago, where the guy hit the pit limiter button,
just
100 yards before the finish line when he was about to win. Like, what the fuck was this? Yeah.
The unfortunate tire strategy choices in the wet, turning to dry from Hyundai.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Like, they had them covered. Oh, I'm not Andrew. I'll let him complain about it. But yeah, like, every single time you leave going, there's that thing that you can hold on to, and that's how you're going to remember this one. And so, folks, they don't show it on live TV. If you haven't watched them before, go to YouTube. Usually a couple of weeks after each race, they'll replay all the coverage with it's the NBC video coverage with John Hindhaugh on the microphone from IMSA Radio, which I think is the perfect combination. And just go catch up on Michelin Pilot Challenge. You will not be disappointed if you're a fan of racing. They're not super long. They're normally 2-hour races.
Although, big announcement. Next year, Road America will host, Nick's pumping his hands in the air,
a 4-hour Michelin Pilot Challenge race. So they do 2 long ones. They have a 10-race schedule usually. Daytona is a 4-hour, and normally Watkins Glen is a 4-hour. And all the rest of
it next year.
And all the rest of them are 2, except for next year it'll be Daytona and Road America get the 4-hour races, and couldn't have asked for anything better. Double Michelin Pilot Challenge time.
It's a little bone to throw to those of us who remember back in the ALMS days where Road America was a 4-6+ hour race.
Yeah.
When like the Audis were coming up here, they had to make it worth the international team's while to come, so they always ran really long races up there, and it was, that was the golden times for how long the races were and how high profile the drivers were. But I would argue that the racing is actually better now, as much as it hurts me to say.
The racing is better, I think. Yeah, high profile. Like, a lot of those drivers, if they're still driving, are probably in WEC. Going to Le Mans this weekend. They just finished qualifying, by the way, as we record this on August 19th. So tune in if you have Motor Trend or like the Motor Trend app, or you can probably hack into some international streaming or something. But 24 Hours of Le Mans this weekend. So that's where a lot of those guys are at. But the quality of driver in IMSA is really good. It's going to get better with LMDH coming in the next couple of years.
Yes.
Like, it's going to...
Is that fully compatible with LMH, or a sister class where like you got to change the brakes or something small, or is it fully compatible?
They say they will run together.
Okay.
Like, Toyota can bring its hypercar over here and run the 24 Hours of Daytona if they want to.
Okay.
And in turn, like, the IMSA guys can go run Le Mans in the top class, quote unquote. But really, that's probably, it's going to be they're going to try to keep the lap times very similar, so it's competitive, but it's just the way they make their time is going to be different, just because the cars are set up different. So
right. Yep. And the LMH is not. I was reading about it. It's not. I was reading about it, but it only mentioned like, and it'll be kind of like LMDH, and then moved on. So I was like, By the way, Nick will know this. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
there's
like it's one of the least proscriptive classes in a long time, especially for the auto was it Auto Club L'Ouest that runs Le Mans.
yes, the ACO.
Like they yeah they it's been those are very tightly regulated, kind of along the lines of a lot of the FIA stuff, like for
Yes.
formula stuff, and this is going to be significantly more open. There's like limits on horsepower, downforce, and like drag coefficient are like the three big ones. But other than that, like you mentioned, it's going to be an exercise in where do cars make their speed, more so than it has been with like the LMP cars and that kind of stuff. So
Right.
that's going to be fun on its own thing, and I'm glad to see cars that are going to be like that racing in IMSA. So
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be great. I mean, if we talked about it, man, what was that 2-3 years ago? Maybe even more than that. It was for our 30th birthday. We were going to do Le Mans.
yeah, Where has the time gone?
So I'm just saying 2023, 2024, hopefully we're through all the COVID stuff and everything is back to as normal as we can get it. I'm thinking we should start looking into that because we know we're only going to do it once. But when you're going to have shit, man, between Toyota's hypercar, the Glickenhaus, Peugeot's hypercar. There's a Bicolis has got a hypercar, and then all the manufacturers that are either have factory or customer element. Like you could have like a 22, 24 car top class at Le Mans. Like
well,
this year it's 5.
Currently it's like this is the and more, but it's there are manufacturers who quote unquote have said this is the article I was reading. Manufacturers who have said they're going to join the party over the next 2 years. They only list Ferrari, Peugeot, Porsche, and Audi with then an and more. So like there will be others on top of that.
I forgot about Ferrari making a hypercar. But the LMDH side, there's a lot from Volkswagen. Lamborghini's going to do it. Audi's going to do it. Porsche's going to do it. Acura's in it. Cadillac is expected to announce anytime now. Who else was going to... There was a 6th. I'm missing it. I don't know why. But some of those are going to be customer-based. Like, I guess Lamborghini is going to be customer-driven. Some of them are going to be factory driven. Some of them are going to be a combination of both. So you could see, 4 Cadillacs in the LMDH category. 1 or 2 of them could be like run in Detroit, but then it could be a privateer, guy who bought a Cadillac LMDH and is running a customer car. Like, and then they could ship them all overseas to run in the French Enduro. And that would be sick to see.
Yep.
And I would still say like the silhouettes of the GT cars is probably what I pay more attention to, but just to say you did it in a time like that, because people are going to look back and be like, yeah, remember in like the mid 2020s when there was like 20 some cars, like, man, those were the days. Like we can say, yeah, we were there.
Yeah,
we
and
saw
like
that.
they're looking at lap times like about 10 seconds less than the Toyotas were by the time they finished.
Mm-hmm.
And like, but still, over a circuit the size of Le Sarthe, like, yes, in racing terms, 10 seconds matters, especially over a 24-hour race, but in watching terms, it doesn't really. Like, there's still going to be these fantastic machines running around at ridiculous speeds for 24 hours. And for me, because I grew up, in the Audi prototype heyday, basically, like I miss really good prototype like competition. I know that he's not here to defend himself, but I know it's not Andrew's cup of tea really. The prototypes, he likes the relatability and approachability of the silhouette cars, but like there's always the prototype cars, always were kind of like my Formula One
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never really got into Formula One as much as I got into their prototype cars, and you know, I think it's watching that kind of, quote unquote innovation. We'll see what actually out of these makes it to the street, but it's always that sneak preview. That
Yes.
4.2 liter the 4.2 liter V8 out of the racing R8 birthed the street R8. The diesel technology,
For a time. For a time.
yeah, for a time until things caught up with diesel at Audi and Volkswagen. But that was before their big push, especially in the United States, to bring a lot of diesel stuff over to the States. The stuff that comes out of that, the e-tron system, a lot of the electrical engineering, if not the overall application of that, but the electrical engineering out of the e-tron making it into the street e-tron now. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And getting that sneak preview of what these companies are trying to work on for the street, it is to me as exciting as seeing like, oh, I could buy that car and it's a race car. That's I like that too. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm really excited by like Hyundai's program, the stuff that Honda's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you can just have them give you one of those and race it, and it's not the street car, but it's something that you can just go buy, and it's
It's
really
damn
cool.
close to the street car.
Right? It's not. It's close. And that's exciting. But the hypercars, I think, are bringing back that excitement for me. Like, I haven't watched the last couple Le Mans because I'm just like, the cars that I miss are gone, and I'm excited for that to come back.
So 2 points there based on what you said. One, the allure of like the prototypes is I get where Andrew's coming from, and I also do enjoy GT and touring car racing for that attainability factor. Like, I could, like they race Velosters. My co-host and good friend Andrew has one of those in his garage, and they are racing those professionally. That's really cool.
Yeah, they had the limited success, but the when I saw the GTI running at Mid Ohio, I was like, cool, GTI. Like, you can point to, and what it is because you've seen people driving them.
Exactly. But prototypes isn't about attainability. The allure of prototype is kind of what you said, like the engineering and the innovation. But for me, it's just like cars like that, and the cars like F1 cars, like, they say fuck you, physics. Like, it's just crazy. and I think what's cool about a prototype is you put it in context. Like, you get the context in a sports car race because they're racing against lower classes, right? So like, you see the Corvette racing car, the GT Le Mans car, screaming up the hill at Road America.
You're like, wow, that's fast. And then out of nowhere,
the next lap or whatever it is, that same car goes up the hill, and you thought that was fast, and then a white streak of a Mazda prototype passes it like it's standing still. And that's like, the IMSA prototypes now are based kind of on P2 cars, so they're not even as built up as the Le Mans cars are at this point. And it's just like seeing the just ripping by, like, oh my god, how is that guy's helmet still on? You think like it's just gonna peel off his head.
Just get watch the Corvette just get stomped by its cousin, the Cadillac DPI car. Like, here goes the Corvette, and then whoa, the Cadillac DPI car just past him.
It is insane, and so that's what's you're not gonna buy one. But that's okay.
But it's fun to watch.
It is fun to watch a car that can do that.
It's fun to watch it do what it do.
We'll do what it do. Which, now we can circle back and talk about the Sunday race. The only thing I really have to say about the big show is 5 classes is too much.
You made that comment on Sunday.
I know Road America has the room to bring them all in. And I understand why IMSA brought in the P3 cars. You can run them in Prototype Challenge, which is their own series, their support series, or you can run them in the P3 class in the WeatherTech Championship. the GTLM cars, there was like a mass exodus. They didn't know how many GTD cars they were going to get or P2 cars. So like they needed car count. That's all it is. Like we need to put cars on the track. So I get that they did it, and I get that it's a stopgap, but there is way too much as a fan to keep track of. Even at Road America, which has upgraded PAs and screens where you can see it and like good vantage points, like if a race goes like Road America did, where there wasn't a ton of caution and you just kind of let them loose, you cannot.
Who's on which lap? Who's in what class? Like,
I would dare say 4 is too much. I think you can get used to 4. 3 is probably a sweet spot, but 5 is just like I have. Like I said, if there was more cautions that would have re-racked everybody, that would have made it a little bit easier. But you're not going to get races like that all the time. And in that kind of situation,
for context,
no idea what's going on.
Context for our listeners: this is Nick, who always knows what's going on. Like I love race week. Like I love race weekends, but I'm out to sea for a lot of them. I have to like pull up my phone and go to scoring.imsa.com and go, oh, okay. But Nick always knows what's going on, and he turns to me and goes, 5 classes is too much. I have no idea what's going on. And I was like, oh, good, it's not only me.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know if like IMSA's not going to care what I say. I don't know if people are like emailing IMSA and say like if this is a common thread that's heard this year, but like it is really, really hard to follow if it goes for a long green flag stretch, and it wasn't that enjoyable. Like I said, it's fun to watch the prototypes do what they do. A day at the racetrack for me beats anything else, but this edition of the Road America WeatherTech race, in my opinion, was not the greatest.
So, I couldn't imagine like what that would be at a place like Canadian Tire.
Ugh. Canadian Tire is really cool. I want to go back really bad.
Oh yeah, 100%. But for like that track is almost half the size. It's like 2 point some miles, right? Something like that.
It's a little over half the size of Road America, yes.
Yeah, and like I couldn't imagine cramming all those cars onto a track like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. That it'd be nuts. Hey, if you really want some fun, let's do it at Lime Rock Park.
Oh God.
What is it? 1.2 miles? Something like that? Like the tiniest road course ever?
They would just literally be racing door handle to door handle the entire time. Like they would take up the entire track just sitting there.
Yeah, it'd be batshit crazy. But yeah, I mean, the 2 days I was there, never, like I said, I wasn't too impressed with the Sunday race, but days at Road America are the best days ever. Again, thanks Ryan, like just being the coolest, most approachable, like big name racing driver in the history of big name racing drivers, like just being the coolest guy. I had a good time. Cannot wait for him to come back next year. We're actually going back up about a week from when we're recording this. You and I, Tristan, spend a day for the World Challenge event, which wish Andrew could come to because that's really in his wheelhouse. It is all GTs and silhouettes, and there is nobody there because it's Packer season. So
yeah, and that is literally the day, like within a day or two of the due date of his child. So I understand it, but I wish he could be there.
Yeah, but you and I'll go, and excuse me, we'll have a good time. All right. We got, I guess, a little bit of time left, Tristan. Do you want to do a list? We've been doing lots of lists lately, but I've got a good one.
Sure. I
think it's a good one anyway. I mean, it's a good topic. I don't know how good the list is, and that's what we're going to talk through right here. But
okay.
this is from Auto Week. This was actually released back in May, but I just found out about it now. So hopefully you haven't seen this already, because then you'd be cheating and you'd know what's going on. These are the 20 most popular cars on TikTok.
Okay.
So this is by views. I don't know if it's like in a video that gets viewed or it's tagged or how they say that, but it's in order of views. And we'll just go with that. The top two are honestly super surprising to me. Yeah, you figure like it's going to be Lambo and it's going to be 458s and Bentleys and the ones that they rent for music videos and stuff.
Yeah, right.
But it's not. Do you have any guess at what the number one most popular car on TikTok is?
So it's not something exotic.
It's not something. I'll give you it's a sports car, but it's not like supercar.
Okay, sports car, not supercar. I'm gonna pull from our own material based on our iconic cars competition and say go with the near winner, the Ford Mustang.
Tristan Dudley, you nailed it.
Hey!
One guess. You have not seen this list before. Can we validate that you have not seen this list?
Yeah, no, I don't even know what website it's on. Did you say you pulled it from somewhere?
Auto Week.
Okay, yep. Nope, I have not seen this list.
All right. So you want to go for a twofer and take a guess at how many views it has?
Oh God. No, I know that on TikTok, hugely viral videos get literally billions of views, but I don't know how viral a car is. 3.2 billion views?
I mean, you're within a few. It's yes, the Ford Mustang is the most popular car on TikTok with 4.8 billion views.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of views for a Mustang.
I was actually going to joke and throw another Ford product out there because there was a TikTok meme going around about Ford Rangers for a while.
Oh, is
it the Ford Ranger?
No, it's the meme. It's the meme thing that'll get you up the ladder, though. I bet for this.
Probably.
Do you want to take a stab at number two? See how long you can keep the streak going.
Let's see. Based on what I've seen a lot of, I'm going to base that solely on this. I've seen a lot of people poking under the hoods of their Camaros.
No.
Okay, what is it?
It is on this list, but it's not at number two.
Oh, nice.
This one is another really surprising one because I feel like this gets a lot of shade. Nissan GTR.
Huh.
Godzilla is number two at 3.2 billion views. So Ford is clear of the next closest competitor, the Mustang, by 1.6 billion. It's a runaway. Funny. So I'm not going to make you guess each and every one of these. They actually got the order wrong on the website. So it says number two GTR is 3.2 billion. I click over to number 3. It's one of those scrolling click to see the next photo things.
Okay, sure.
And number 3 is 3.3 billion.
That's more than 3.2.
So actually, the second most popular car is the Supra.
Okay.
/ BMW Z4. Or AKA
do they lump those together? Or?
No, they don't. They say Supra. But if you're BMW, if BMW has the recall, BMW can claim this too.
There you go. We have the second most popular car on TikTok?
That's right. Number 4 is the Camaro. So you were close.
Okay, there it is. It's on there.
1.9 billion.
Oh, paltry.
Here's a weird one at 5. The Range Rover.
The Rangy.
Oh, there's a popular TikTok song called Range Rover.
Well,
There
that
you
would
go.
make sense.
Number 6, the good old Honda Civic.
Yes, always liable to put in an appearance.
First Lambo.
Those kids, you know.
Yeah, those kids. The first Lambo comes in at number 7. It's a Huracan.
Interesting.
At a measly 974 million views. So, Ford Mustang, 4.8 billion. Lamborghini, 974 million.
Not even a billion.
I mean, rookies.
Amateurs.
Yeah, geez. Bunch of jamokes. Number 8 is the Rex car you've owned in the past.
There you go.
973 million.
So only a million less than the Huracan.
Yes. And I'm going to say, oh, wow. I'm just going to round up and say 90 million more than the slot below it, which is another Lambo, the Aventador. Is that 888 million.
More popular with a young person social media app. Who would have thought the WRX?
Yeah, right. And then this is one this one at number 10 is one I thought would be way higher. The first Tesla appearance comes in at 10 with the Model 3.
Okay. The Model 3?
Yep.
Ugh.
830 million views. Second half of this list, number 11 is the Passat.
Oh, God. Things are getting out of hand.
765 million views on a Passat. Number 12 is your old favorite, the R8.
Hey.
And wow, here's a drop. Here's the cliff right here. From 765 million for the Passat to 572 million for the R8. 200
jump.
200 million view difference. 13 is another Subi. Can you guess which one?
Well, I mean, it's TikTok, so that's got to be the BRZ.
Bingo. BRZ at 13, only 200,000 behind the R8. Jeep makes an appearance, the Wrangler at 14. 531 million. That's not a surprise. It'd be on here, right? Super popular. Cult classic.
Yeah, especially amongst the young bros and college-aged women.
Young bros, college-aged women, and the modification, the aftermarket thing. A lot of people are showing those modified Wranglers when they're at Moab, bro. Third Lamborghini on the list is at 15, at the Urus.
Okay.
I thought that one would be higher, too.
Well, we discussed like how ragingly popular they are. You'd think that a lot of celebrities own them. They'd be some kind of aspirational social media thing, but apparently it's Mustangs.
Weird. Okay, number 16 is just get the fuck out of here. Toyota Land Cruiser.
Simply based on my own TikTok, what's really fun to watch in that time span?
Off-roading fails.
Yeah, fails or wins. This guy dumps it down into some big hole and then, flips it and pulls it back up again. And it's like the videos max out at some 3 minutes now or something like that. It's, watching things either tip over or succeed in doing something ridiculously improbable fits really well into that time format. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I guess this one surprised me a little bit, but they did say here plenty of fun to watch off-roading videos under the Land Cruiser hashtag.
There you go. See,
if it's a hashtag, it's going places.
Absolutely.
We stick with the same company. Going to 17, Toyota Camry.
Corolla. Oh, okay.
Camry. We still got 3 slots left. Corolla might still be there. Oh, it's 18. Again, it's the modifications. So, slammed Camrys are apparently a thing. There's
Okay.
modified Corollas of all vintages, as they say here. So Corolla's at 18.
Okay.
19 is another Audi.
Okay. RS something, I'm sure.
Want to pick a number?
Let's go with my favorite. We'll go with 6.
Yep, nailed it.
Hey,
You're good at this.
just based on my favorite.
Yeah. And then rounding out the list.
I am the TikTok algorithm. Surprise everyone, now you know.
Ta-da. Yeah, we're actually rolling in it, guys. We don't have other jobs.
That's why we've been so inconsistent. I've been busy curating all these videos for millions of people. It's fine.
Yeah. And then last on the list, another Audi, the
TTRS?
No, sorry, Tristan, the RS3.
Oh, dang. I like the TTRS.
Ford Mustang is 1 at 4.8 billion. Audi RS3 at 20 is 317 million.
Huh.
Big discrepancy.
That's orders of magnitude.
For sure. I mean, I really can't critique the list, right? Because this is just based on wherever they got their data from.
Yeah, this is analytics, not up for debate, really.
Yeah, so it's not like Watch Mojo where we can call them idiots. Like Auto Week is just pulling in numbers here. So
yeah,
if we're going to call anybody idiots, is going to be people who are on TikTok.
Yeah, for putting Camrys and Corollas in there.
Yeah, what we can call out Auto Week for is that your number 3 has more views than your number 2.
That is correct. We can call out incorrect counting and ordering skills.
But I don't think I would have picked the GTR to be anywhere near the top 5. If it was going to be on this list, maybe the 15 to 20 range.
Yeah.
Number 2 at 3.2 billion. Number 3 at 3.2 billion. Shocking to me.
Yeah,
I like the car. It's still a wish list car for me, man. Like I love it. But I feel like I'm in the minority, but apparently not. Maybe I should join TikTok.
Just Andrew and I, making funny about it.
Yeah, you guys just beat me down every time I bring it up.
Yeah.
Well, Andrew does.
No, I like the first generation one. That's like, I know that they've gotten nominally better or whatever, but I like the first generation one.
Yeah. I still love them. I'd still get it if I had the means. 110,000 for the 2022 version. Which, considering quote unquote supercar status, I mean, that's right in there with a nice Porsche.
Yeah.
It's not too completely outlandish when you consider the marketplace. But anyway, that is the 20 most popular vehicles on TikTok. Congratulations, Ford Mustang. You win something again. Sorry you couldn't win our most iconic car battle.
But you can win the popularity contest on TikTok.
Which is probably way more valuable to Ford than our icon tournament.
Correct.
So, all right, man. We've been at it about an hour-ish. What do we cover pretty much everything we needed to?
Yeah, I think so.
We didn't talk about the IndyCar race, but we don't have a lot of time left, so I'm just going to say the IndyCar race in Nashville was an absolute joke. They designed the track around the fact that they go over the Korean War veteran bridge in downtown Nashville, which makes for like a really cool backdrop and a really cool sight to see like it's the first time cars have ever raced over like a span bridge like that. But that's where they stopped designing the track. Like, we're going to make it go over the bridge. And then what?
What else are you going to do? Stuff.
They're going to come back the other way on the bridge. Like, oh, okay.
They can't go, perpendicular to the bridge. So what's your next step?
Yeah, it was...
Next year, IndyCar race in Pittsburgh. They got a lot of bridges they can go over both directions.
Someone should... We should suggest that to IndyCar. Be like, hey, IndyCar, We should get
bridges.
Get in touch with Andrew because he runs Twitter, and just say, "Hey, IndyCar, maybe next year you should schedule a race in Pittsburgh. We hear there's a bunch of bridges there."
Also, tunnels.
And oh shit, that'd be crazy. But yeah, it's the first time. It was the inaugural race. Huge crowd, a lot of energy. Nashville just seems like a great venue for pretty much anything these days. So they will be back. Hopefully before next year, they'll make some adjustments and just try to figure it out. Because on one side of the bridge, it was barely a lane wide, and there was like a left, right, left kind of complex where like the top speed was about 45 miles an hour. And then on the other side, there was 3 90-degree left-handers. Like just made like a rectangle to get back to the bridge. And 9 cautions, 2 red flags, random flooding. It didn't rain there, but turn 3 all of a sudden was like underwater. Like I don't know if like a water main broke. Like they never really said why.
Somebody opened a fire hydrant. Shh.
I don't know what happened there, but the guy who won was airborne on lap 4 or 5. Somehow the car was obviously able to continue. So congrats to Marcus Ericsson on getting the win and your pilot's license.
Nice.
Actually, I saw a meme that came out was really funny. So they have, you've seen, like obviously like we've seen it for Le Mans, like spotter guides.
Yeah.
So someone took the IndyCar Nashville spotter guide and photoshopped Marcus Ericsson's car to be up at like a 45-degree angle. I thought that was very funny. So yeah, hopefully IndyCar fixes that. But we'll just squeeze that in there because we have pretty much no time left. So we're gonna get you out of here, unless you got anything else you want to throw in there, quick, Tristan.
Nope, nothing for me.
Well, all right then. Before we go, want to remind you how to get in touch with us on social media. We are on Facebook. You search Check Engine Podcast. I'll sub in for Andrew on this one. Andrew patrols the tweets at Check Engine Pod on Twitter. Tristan, where can they find us on Instagram?
Instagram is also at Check Engine Pod.
So be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM, reach out how and when you can. You can ask us questions to answer on the air. You let us know what you like, dislike, give us ideas for topics. What should we talk about? You know, we're 130 some episodes deep. It's getting harder and harder to think of topics and themes for episodes. So give us some help sometimes. Thanks in advance. And lastly, thank you for sticking with us today. And again, for your patience with our inconsistent cadence this summer here. We appreciate you listening. We don't want you just to listen. We want to interact with you. So be sure to leave us a review, preferably a good one. Hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. You'll get notified of any new content we put out. If you're into what we're doing, like in a big way, and would like to support this podcast monetarily, you have 2 options for that. You can go to patreon.com/checkenginepodcast, or you can hit the support button on our homepage at anchor.fm/checkenginepodcast. So thank you in advance for that. Tristan, do you have a thank you prepared before we sign off?
I do, actually. And it's going to loop us all the way back to the beginning of the podcast. We're not a wedding planning podcast. However, my thank you has to do with that. We unfortunately had to move our wedding from its dream location in Florida in the month of October to my family's homestead, the old home base out in the woods. It's still going to be a beautiful wedding. I'm still very excited. But to make that happen, there is going to be several people moving heaven and earth to make that happen, including family members from both sides of the family, ourselves, so Jessica included, and our various vendors and people providing goods and services for the wedding. Everybody working on short notice. So it has been a little bit of a faith in humanity restored moment, as people are like, oh yeah, that sucks you had to move your wedding, let's get you taken care of, it'll still be great. So thank you to everybody who's going to make this possible. And I went from very, very worried to very, very excited and worried very quickly. So it's that's all that it's all of you people making it possible. And the work that you're putting in means I was able to find an hour and 20 minutes today to sit down and do a podcast for you.
There you go. I'm still looking forward to this, man. It's going to be so cool. I have a somber thank you to end the episode. I would like to thank Bob Jenkins. And some of you listening, maybe Tristan, you may not be familiar with that name, but if you were a race fan at all in the late 80s, early 90s, all the way up through early to mid 2000s, I'd say, Bob Jenkins was the voice you heard calling motorsports. Like, period, end of story. Everything from NHRA drag racing to USAC, Thursday Night Thunder on ESPN2, the midgets and the sprint cars, to all the way up to NASCAR, to the IndyCar series and the Indianapolis 500. Bob Jenkins was delivering that to households everywhere via radio or via TV. It takes, we know John Hindhaugh is really good at it. Like, when you're listening or you're experiencing it as a fan, how the messages are delivered and the way it's delivered makes a big difference. I don't know if I'd be as big of a race fan today if Bob Jenkins wasn't calling races when I was watching with my dad when I was little. How excited and how passionate he would get and how easily he made it to understand what was happening. Like, he was the absolute best. And he had to step away from, like, he did, man, everything. He was even, he cameoed in Talladega Nights.
Yes. I do actually know who he is, actually, but not because of Talladega Nights either.
So, he had to step away from, like, traveling around doing it full time, probably a decade or so ago, because his wife was experiencing some health issues, and then he had one bout of cancer that he beat, but he couldn't really travel around much. So he was the PA voice of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So all the way up until this past May when I went down there, Bob Jenkins was the one calling the race for all the fans at the Speedway. And Bob passed away, I think, last week. So I think he was 75. So I just want to thank Bob for bringing motorsports into mine and everyone else's households in the way he did. He was super humble. From what I understand, I never met him, but everyone, like, his favorite quote is everyone's favorite Bob Jenkins quote is, "I was a race fan who got really lucky." And one other person said it best, is that, no, we were really lucky to have Bob Jenkins on the microphone for years and years and years. So Godspeed, and thank you, Bob Jenkins. And as always, thank you, listeners, for your continued support. We love hearing from you. We love recording this for you, and we can't wait to speak to you again whenever the hell we get a chance to do that. But until then, take care.